Hello, fourth grade. It's Mrs. Price. I'm back with your Tuesday lesson on similes. And I wanted to revisit this anchor chart that I made for you. I love to give you guys visuals, and I want to go over just really quickly what a simile is, what figurative language is, what it sounds like. And remember, there's this great video. I sent it on Dojo, and then I put it on Google Classroom for you. I would really encourage you to watch that. It's a great little video all about similes and metaphors, and it gives great examples too. Okay, so let's talk about figurative language. So remember, that's the question that I asked you up at the top. What is figurative language, and why do we use it? Well, figurative language is just it's when you describe something by making a comparison to something else, right? Figurative language is like a play on our language. It's just kind of having fun with our language. And you can do that by using similes, metaphors, and we're not going to talk about these right now. Let's just look at similes and metaphors. So, and you hear these in poetry. They can stand alone. It's just fun, right? It's fun to use figurative language. It kind of mixes it up. If we used, just regular, same old language, it gets kind of boring. And you can really have fun when you use figurative language. Okay, so similes. We're still working on similes on Tuesday. And similes, again, are when you compare two things using like or as. But I really like what your sheet says, right? It says that you're using a real term and you're comparing it to an imaginary one. And they have a similar quality. Now, what that means, again, and I know I already explained this, but what it means is that you're thinking about something, right? In this case, it's blue eyes. And you're thinking, what makes this imaginary? That the sky is not imaginary, the sky is real. But what they're talking about with imaginary is blue eyes can't really look like the sky, right? Because the sky has clouds. The sky actually can be black at night, and we know our eyes don't turn black. The sky can be red or like a pink or orange when the sun is setting or when the sun is rising. Right, so the sky can be different colors, and really your eyes cannot be any of those colors, right? Your eyes can be blue, but that's about it. And I mean, you have a little bit of white in this picture of this eye right here, but your eyes can't really have like the shape of clouds, right? So that's what makes this imaginary. And then going back to this simile right here, he is skinny like a toothpick. No one could actually be as skinny as a toothpick. If anybody was as skinny as a toothpick, well, they probably would not be living, right? Because a toothpick is really, really skinny. That is what makes it imaginary. Even though a toothpick is real, comparing somebody's size to it is imaginary. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that you guys had a lot of fun with your similes on Monday. So we are going to go over to Tuesday's lesson. And Tuesdays, we're talking about similes again. So it's just a really good review of similes. And you're kind of doing the same thing, but this time you're going to read the following poem that contains similes. And you're going to underline the real term in yellow, underline the imaginary term in green, and then circle or underline the connector with another color. Now, remember, those connectors are either as or like. Those are the only two connectors that you can use when you are creating a simile. Okay, so I am going to grab my yellow and my green highlighters. And remember, it doesn't matter if you use a highlighter, if you use a pencil, a marker, a crayon, it does not matter. whatever you have that's yellow. And I think what I like to do is I'm going to read it the first time, and I'm only going to focus on my real terms in yellow, okay? All right, so the title of this poem is called Question. And you know what? Before we do anything, let's just read through it. Let's just read through it first. What is that horrible sound that impedes my sound sleep? I turn on the lights and look east. It's my brother that snores like a beast. Ooh, I like that. Let's read that one more time. Question. What is that horrible sound that impedes my sound sleep? I turn on the lights and look east. It's my brother that snores like a beast. Okay, what a great poem. It's short, but man, it gets the point across, right? Okay, so we can tell this first, it's just a question. What is that horrible sound, right? I don't see as or like. They're just starting off their poem to get your, this reminds me of an attention grabber, right? When you're writing a narrative or an opinion or a persuasive piece of writing, you know how you start with those attention grabbers? Well, that's exactly what that is. So that's not a simile. So let's go to the second line. It says, that impedes my sound sleep. Now, I'm not seeing as or like. That's just kind of answering the question, right? What is that horrible sound that impedes my sound sleep? Actually, it's not really even answering the question. It's kind of an extension of the question, because the horrible sound impedes means it's interrupting his very sound sleep. Okay. Then the third line says, I turn on the lights and look east. Well, I'm still not seeing as or like. I'm not seeing any type of comparison in this third line. This is just what he's doing. He's turning on the lights and he looks east, which if you know which direction east is, that would be to your right. Okay. Then let's read this very last line. It's my brother that snores like a beast. Okay, so I'm seeing this very last line as the simile. And how do I know that? Well, I know that because, and I'm just going to go ahead and take my pencil, I see a connector like, right? So we're going to go ahead, I'm just going to go ahead and circle like. There's my connector. Now I'm going to think about, okay, what is my real term and what imaginary term is it being connected to? Well, my brother that snores like a beast. My brother is the real term. And we know that the brother is being compared to what? To a beast, right? Oops, I think you were supposed to underline. That's okay. You can go ahead and highlight. Whatever works. Now, again, well, this one, actually a beast, depending on what you were talking about, it could be real or imaginary. But what makes this a simile is that his brother is being compared to a beast, right? Human beings are not really beasts, but apparently his snoring that he's doing, and you know what? You could actually kind of highlight snorers because it's his brother's snoring, right? It's not just his brother, it's the snoring that he's doing that's like a beast. So I'm actually glad that I caught that, because we're not just comparing his brother, we're comparing his snoring, because apparently it's impeding his sleep. It's interrupting him from sleeping. Okay, so that's how you would take a poem and find the simile and then break it down. And then they want you to answer a few questions. So what two, again, just like on your page from yesterday, what two things are being compared? Well, the two things that were being compared were, and I'm actually going to get a pen because for some reason my pencil is not cooperating. There we go. Okay. So remember, it's not just his brother, it's his brother's terrible, terrible snoring, right? That we're comparing to a beast. So brother snoring and a beast. Those are the comparisons. Oops, and I kind of ran out of room. What does it mean? Well, think about that. Let's read it again. It's my brother that snores like a beast. Well, and remember, it's interrupting his sleep. It's a horrible sound. He had to turn on the lights and he had to look over at his brother, right? So what does it mean? It means that his brother snores probably really, really loud. Because when you think about a beast, right? They growl and they're loud, right? Especially when they sleep. You know, when I see the word beast, I think of Beauty and the Beast. And I think about him snoring. And there's one part where he's sleeping and he's snoring really, really loud, or really growls, and he just makes those loud, loud noises. And so apparently what this means is the brother is snoring really loud. And I'm going to underline that, really loud. Okay, but then we're going to take it a little step further and they're going to ask you a few more questions. So what is the author's purpose? Well, remember, when you talk about author's purpose, you're thinking about, why did the author write this? Why would the author have written this type of poem? Well, let's read our choices. A says to describe how his brother snores. B says persuade the reader to not sleep with their siblings. Or C, tell a humorous personal story. Well, I think in this case, he probably wrote it because, what do you think? I don't know. It could be any of those, but I'm thinking because of the simile, he's really describing how his brother snores. I mean, you can see that in every line of the poem, right? He's just wanting to describe, he wants you to know, like, how bad his brother is snoring. I mean, he probably could have, he could have had an idea to persuade you not to sleep with your sibling or tell a humorous personal story, but I really think he's just trying to describe the brother's snoring. Okay? All right, so let's go on. Number 4 says, how do you think the author feels? I wonder how he feels after writing something like this. How do you think he would feel? Sad because his brother cannot sleep? Or frustrated because his brother does not let him sleep? Now, if you come back over here and read this again, think about, would I be sad or frustrated? Let's read this again. What is that horrible sound that impedes my sound sleep? I turn on the lights and look east. It's my brother that snores like a beast. Do you think he's feeling sad because his brother cannot sleep, or frustrated because his brother does not let him sleep? Yeah, it's definitely B, because his brother, he's not letting him sleep, right? It's impeding his sleep. His brother is sleeping just fine. He's sleeping so well, in fact, that he's snoring like a beast. So make sure that you really read these two answers, because they're both saying something a little bit different. All right, so number 5 says, retell what happens in the poem using your own words. So you're just going to come back over here, and you know what I might do is just read each line and write what each line means in your own words. So what is that horrible sound? Right? What does that mean? He's awake and he hears a horrible sound that impedes my sound sleep, right? It's his snoring is interrupting his sound sleep. And then what does he do? He turns on the lights and he looks what direction? Remember, east would be to your, right? Think about north, south, east, and west, right? So he looks over to the right and he turns on the lights. And then he sees his brother snoring really, really loud, right? You're going to retell this in your own words. You don't rewrite the poem. You're going to rewrite in your own words what's happening. Then you're going to create an illustration for the poem. So you know that an illustration is just a drawing. So this is where you can have a lot of fun. What do you think this looks like? Oh, I'm excited to see your illustrations for this. This could be a really fun poem to illustrate. And I'm going to let you do those last two on your own. All right, guys, that's Tuesday. So this is a lot of fun today. Again, just focusing on similes. Have fun with it. And remember, if you have questions or you're confused, then let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.